Hi, my name is Michelle and I will be talking about learning or studying techniques. So I started to be interested in studying techniques when I started learning Korean 6 years ago. I used to study a lot and then in a matter of a week I would forget everything I had learned. So I felt really sad and that's why I started to search for studying techniques that would actually work for me. I tried many techniques and some were really helpful and some weren't. So I want to talk about some of them. My favorite technique is called the Leitner system and it involves space repetition. It is based in space repetition. So the first thing you want to do is create a deck of flashcards about a topic that you want to study. And then you want to divide them into 3 sets of flashcards. The first set of flashcards are going to be the ones that you're going to study every single day. The second set of flashcards are going to be the ones that you will study every 3 days. And the last set of flashcards are going to be the ones that you will study once a week. Also, I usually make my own flashcards, my own physical flashcards, but when I feel that I don't have enough time or that there is a lot of information and I don't want to waste so much paper and so much time on cutting and pasting, I just use 2 apps. The first one is called Anki and the second one is called Memrise. I prefer using this technique when I have to study vocabulary or terminology. My second favorite technique is called the Feynman technique, and I really like this one because it involves simplifying the information that I want to study and then trying to explain it to someone with my own words. So what I normally do is that when I have a text to study, I read one paragraph and then try to explain with my own words to some family member that is around. When there is no one around, I just say it out loud in my bedroom or in front of a mirror and it still works. So I only use this technique when I feel like the topic is really challenging or that I haven't fully understood the topic. Another technique that I use a lot, that I use every single time I study, is called the Pomodoro technique. And this is more of a time management technique. So you divide the time in which you study and the time in which you take a break. So it involves studying for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, you probably want to take a longer break. I found out that the 25 minutes of studying and the 5-minute break don't really work for me, so I just modified the time periods. So I study for about 2 to 3 hours and then take a 30-minute break. I just go take a shower, eat something, or maybe nap, and then I go back and study for another 2 to 3 hours. I usually don't repeat this cycle more than twice in a study session. So the next technique is called active recall, and this involves retrieving information rather than just storing it in your brain. I tried this technique, and what I would do is that I would read the text that I had to study and then close the document and write everything that I remembered from what I just read. Then I would open the document again, and while I was reading again, with another pen color, I would write everything that I had missed the first time. And then close the document again, and then try writing everything I remembered. And I would repeat this until I felt that I already remember everything I needed to remember. I stopped using this technique because I felt like it was really time consuming, much more than the first 2 techniques that I talked about, so I don't use it anymore. Another technique is mind mapping, and this is pretty basic and pretty straightforward. You just create mind maps about a topic to organize the information. I don't use this technique because I feel that this technique of mind mapping works for visual learners, and I'm not a visual learner. I prefer reading or writing. That's how I really understand and really remember information. So now, mnemonics. Mnemonics are memory aids that help people learn or remember pieces of information through associations, acronyms, or rhymes. Mnemonics can be verbal or visual. For example, when I was in level 1 of Korean, our teacher wanted us to learn and remember the body parts in Korean. So she taught us a children's song about the body parts. And what she wanted us to do was that while we were singing, we had to touch each part of our body. And through this, we could make an association with the word and the body part. To find the perfect studying technique, you need to know what type of learner you are. There are 4 types of learners. There are visual learners, auditory learners, reading, writing learners, and kinesthetic learners. Visual learners. Visual learners learn through visual aids such as graphs, charts, infographics, presentations, diagrams, videos, etc. Reading, writing learners. So reading, writing learners learn best through reading and writing, and they prefer to consume information in the form of a text. Kinesthetic learners. So kinesthetic learners learn best through hands-on experiences. They prefer to do something instead of just observing or just listening or just reading. Auditory learners. So auditory learners are people who learn best by listening to information. They may prefer to hear instructions instead of reading them, or to listen to a lecture instead of reading a textbook. Finding the perfect studying technique can be really difficult and time-consuming, and it is definitely a process of trial and error, but it is worth it. And I am so happy that I became interested about this topic, because now it is much easier for me to study, and it takes so much less time for me to study too. Thank you so much for listening.